So descriptive research is defined as a research method that describes the characteristics of the population or phenomenon studied. Observational method is the most effective method to conduct this research, and the researcher may use both qualitative as well as quantitative observation. Exploratory, we are going to take a small group of people as a sample, whereas under descriptive, we are going to take the whole population as a sample. Hello everyone, I am Harshita, lecturer, Department of Commerce, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. My dear students, today we are in the third session of Unit 2 of the subject, that is Business Research Method, and the Unit 2 is Business Research Design. Already we have discussed few of the concepts on this particular unit. So let us quickly recall what we have discussed in a previous session. So in a previous session, I have covered this topic, that is we were discussing about exploratory research. Now what do I mean by exploratory research? Here the problem is going to explore. Here the researcher, what he will do? He will explore the problem, and the researcher will not have any other previous research activity to refer for his particular problem. So he will collect the data mainly from the primary sources of data, and he will collect that and he will find the solution to a particular problem. In this type of research, we cannot get the exact conclusion under research activity, that is under exploratory research activity. So we cannot draw a direct conclusion. So this is about exploratory research. Under that, we have learnt about steps to conduct a exploratory research. So what are the various steps which are involved in conducting the exploratory research? Next, we have discussed about characteristics of exploratory research. So what are the characteristics or features of exploratory research? Next one is advantages, and we have learnt about disadvantages also of exploratory research, and suitability of exploratory research. So where or in what type of research activity this exploratory research is suitable. So these are the few concepts what we have discussed in a previous session. In today's session, we shall continue with next type of business research activity, that is descriptive research. Now, what do I mean by descriptive research? So, descriptive research is defined as a research method that describes the characteristics of the population or phenomenon studied. Now, here descriptive research, under descriptive research, we are going to learn about the characteristics of the population or phenomenon on which the research activity has to be studied. This methodology focuses more on what? So here you have to remember, under exploratory research, we are going to focus on what, why and how. But under descriptive research activity, we are mainly focuses on what? That is, we are going to solve a problem, or we are going to find a solution to a particular problem on the basis of what? Of the research subject rather than why. So instead of searching a solution to a particular problem on the basis of why, we are going to solve the problem on the basis of what type of questions. Okay. So why of the research subject. So here you have to remember, descriptive research is a type of research activity where we are going to study the characteristics of the population or phenomenon on which the research activity is being studied. At the same time, it mainly focuses on what type of problems, that is on what. So we are going to solve a problem on what basis rather than why basis. In other words, it describes the subject of the research. So it describes how the subject will be in a particular research without covering why it happens. So we are going to focus on what rather than why. Next, for example, an apparel brand that wants to understand the fashion purchasing trends among New York buyers will conduct a demographic survey. So here they are going to conduct a survey on whole population, that is demographic survey of this region gather population data and then conduct descriptive research on this demographic segment. So here what they are going to do, they are going to conduct a research on a particular brand trends on a New York City, that is for on the whole population, and the study will then uncover details on what is the purchasing pattern of New York buyers. So here the main topic will be what is a purchasing pattern of New York buyers, but not cover any investigation information about why the pattern exists. So here remember we are mainly focusing on what basis. So that is about descriptive research. Now let us see what are the characteristics of descriptive research. So the first one is it is a quantitative research, whereas when compared to exploratory research it is a qualitative research. But when compared to this descriptive research, it is quantitative research. So descriptive research is a quantitative research. So what do you mean by quantitative research? Here the results is collected in the form of statistical or mathematical tools. They are termed as what? Quantitative research. Now this descriptive research is what? It is a quantitative research method that attempts to collect the quantifiable information. So here we are going to collect what? Quantifiable information for statistical analysis of the population sample. Under exploratory research, we are going to take a particular group of people which is called as what? Sample. But here under descriptive research activity, we are going to take the whole population as a sample. Whereas under exploratory, we are going to take a small group of people as a sample. Whereas under descriptive, we are going to take the whole population as a sample. At the same time, the other difference is that under exploratory research, it is qualitative research. Whereas this descriptive research is what? It is quantitative research. Next, the second characteristics is that uncontrolled variables. Now, the variables which are existed in this type of research is uncontrollable in nature. So, here the researcher will not have anything in his hand. It is uncontrollable in nature. So, in descriptive research, none of the variables are influenced. There is no influence in any of the variables. This uses observational methods to conduct the research. So here they are mainly focusing on observational method. Rather than going into personal interviews, here they are going to, or here the importance is given to observational method. Hence, the nature of variables or their behavior is not in the hands of researcher, because all the variables are uncontrollable in nature. So, nothing is there in the hands of researcher. Next one is cross-sectional studies. So, descriptive research is a cross-sectional studies. So, descriptive research is generally a cross-sectional study where different sections belonging to the same group are studied. Now, under cross-sectional study, different changes or different sections of the same group are studied together. So, it is called as what? Cross-sectional studies. Next characteristics is that the basis for further research. Now, this descriptive research acts as a basis for further research. Researchers further research the data collected and analyzed from descriptive research using different research technique. So, here descriptive research acts as a basis for other research activity. The data can also help point towards the type of research method and for the subsequent research. So, here this acts as a basis. At the same time, it helps to know the other researchers to use what are the techniques to be used in their particular research activity. So, this descriptive research acts as a basis for other researchers. At the same time, it also helps the other researchers to know what are the techniques to be used while collecting the data. So, it is called as what? The basis for further research. Now, seeing the next concept, that is applications of descriptive research with examples. So, let us see what are the applications of descriptive research, where it has been used, and let us see the examples also. So, the first one is define respondent characteristics. So, who is a respondent? The person or the organization or any other institution who will give information to the researcher is called as a respondent. So, under descriptive research, we will be able to know the characteristics of the respondents. That is, the person one who is giving the information. So, we will come to know his characteristics. So, the aim of using close-ended questions. Now, what do you mean by close-ended questions? Suppose there is a question and you have only two options. One is yes, other one will be no. So, no other explanation for this particular question. You have, and the respondents have to answer either yes or either no. Or you will get a set of alternatives or you will get a set of options within which the respondent have to answer. So, he cannot answer anything other than these options. So, it is called as close-ended questions. Now, what do you mean by close-ended questions? Under research, we have two types of questions. One is open-ended, other one is close-ended. Now, what do you mean by open-ended? So, exploratory research was open-ended questions, where the researcher can ask enormous number of questions until he is satisfied. But in case of descriptive research, it is close-ended questions, where if a question is being asked, the researcher or the respondents will have only few options to answer. So, the answer what is given there in the question, or he will give yes or no questions. The researcher will give yes or no questions within which the respondents have to answer. Or the other type is that a question will be given with number of options where the respondents have to answer any one of the option. So, that is known as what? Close-ended question. So, under descriptive research, the aim of using close-ended question is to draw concrete conclusions. Now, here we will get the exact conclusion for a particular problem. Whereas, in case of exploratory research, we cannot get the exact conclusion because we are going through open-ended question. Descriptive research, what is the main aim of using close-ended questions? Because in order to get the conclusion for a particular question or a particular problem. This could be need to derive the pattern, traits and behavior of the respondents. By using these close-ended questions, so it helps the researcher to identify the characteristics of the respondents. It could also be understand from the respondent, their attitude, their opinion, their behavior can be identified easily by the researcher under this descriptive research, because all the questions will be in the form of close-ended questions. Next one is measure data trends. So, how they are going to measure the data trends here? Researchers measure data trends over time with a descriptive research designs using statistical capabilities. So, why it is collected in the form of statistical? Because you know, under descriptive research, the data or information is collected through quantitative nature, that is through statistical or mathematical tools. So, the researcher measure data trends. So, we can know what is the data trends over time because we are going to collect the data through statistical tools, that is in the form of quantitative nature. Consider if an apparel company research different demographies like age groups from 24 to 35 and 36 to 45 on a new range launch of autumn wear. So, if one of those group does not take too well to the new launch, it provides insight into what clothes are like and what is not. So, by seeing the activity of the respondent itself in descriptive research, the researcher will identify their behavior. So, whether they like that particular product or not. The brand drops the clothes and apparel that customers don't like. So, what the organization then can do? So, they can drop the clothes or drop the brand which the customer does not like. So, this is about the measure of data trends. So, what you have to remember here? So, under descriptive method, they are going to collect the data through statistical or mathematical tools, which is also considered as quantitative method. So, under quantitative method, they can clearly understand because they will collect in the form of numericals. So, they can clearly understand what type of brand or what is the taste and preference of the customers. So, suppose if an organization releases a particular brand and the data is collected through statistical tools, they'll come to know the exact number. So, how many customers likes that brand and how many customer does not like that brand. So, if majority does not like the brand, they can ignore that particular brand. So, this is about measuring the data trends under descriptive method. Next one is conduct comparisons. Of course, the data is collected through statistical tools, so they can compare from one person to another person or one type of customer to other type. So, organization also use descriptive research design to understand how different group respond to a specific product or service. So, when they go on focus group, so here also they'll come to know what is a response of one group and that of other group. So, here they can make the comparison. For example, an apparel brand creates a survey asking general questions that measures the brand image. The same study also asks demographic questions like age, income, gender, geographical location, etc. So, here along with knowing the taste and preference on a particular brand, so they will also come to know about their age, income, gender. For example, the youngsters may like motorbike. In the same way, the children may like the bicycles. So, like that they can make the comparisons. So, this consumer research helps the organization understand what aspects of the brand appraisal to the population and what aspects do not. So, this type of comparison can be made. So, I have given the best example of the age where small children like the bicycles, at the same way this middle age group or the youngsters like the motorbike. So, this would be the comparison. So, such type of comparisons can be made through descriptive research. Next one is conduct research at different times. So, here also under descriptive research, they will be able to conduct research at different times. So, the analysis can be conducted at different periods to ascertain any similarities or differences. In order to know the similarity as well as differences, so this descriptive research can be conducted. So, what is the changes? So, from winter to summer, what are the taste and preference of the consumers? So, will be different. So, the taste and preference in the winter might not be there in the summer. So, like such periods can be compared. So, this also allows any number of variables to be evaluated. For verification, studies on prevailing condition can also be repeated to draw trends. So, this is about conduct research at different times. Now, moving on to the next concept, advantages of descriptive research. So, let us see what are the various advantages of descriptive research. So, the first one is data collection. So, of course, we know the data is collected through quantitative techniques, that is through statistical or mathematical tools. Let us see how it is advantage here. A researcher can conduct descriptive research using specific methods like observational method or case study method or survey method. So, any of the method they can use to collect the data. Between these three, all primary data collection method are covered, which provides a lot of information. Here, what they are going to do? They are going to collect the data through primary sources. So, it may be observation method or case study or survey method. So, through these they are going to collect the data. So, this can be used for further research or even developing a hypothesis of your research object. So, this type of sources or this type of data which is collected through primary sources, so this will help for further research at the same time to develop the hypothesis. Next one is varied. So, second advantage is that varied, since the data collected is qualitative. So, if the data is collected is qualitative and quantitative, it gives a holistic understanding of a research topic. The information is varied, diverse and thorough. So what happens? So here they are going to give more importance for quantitative data. Again, at the same time, the data can also be collected through observational method, case study method as well as survey method, which leads to qualitative data also. So both the methods they are going to prefer. So here they are going to compare the data of qualitative nature as well as quantitative nature, so that they will get the exact solution to a particular problem. And the next advantage is that natural environment. Normally, this descriptive research will be undertaken in the natural environment of the respondents. So, descriptive research allows for the research to be conducted in the respondents' natural environment, which ensures high quality and honest data is collected. Because the data is collected directly from the respondents, so thereby the data which is being collected will be of high quality, because the population is too large, correct? So we are going to collect the data from the large population, so thereby it leads to high quality as well as honest data. Next one is cheap to perform as well as quick and cheap to perform. So here under descriptive research, the research activity is very cheap, at the same time it is very quick to perform, because we will get the exact results. We are going to draw the conclusion from that particular information. So let us see, as a sample size is generally large in descriptive research, because we are going to conduct a research on a whole population. The data collection is quick and is to conduct as well as it is very inexpensive. So because we need not process that data, so whatever the data which is been collected, so we can go through that and we get the exact result also, and the accuracy of the data will also be very good. Now let us see what are the various methods which comes under descriptive research method. So the first one is observational method. So here the data or information is collected through observation under descriptive research. So let us see what it is. The observational method is the most effective method to conduct this research, and the researcher may use both qualitative as well as quantitative observation. Here, they'll give more importance for quantitative research. Other than that, they give importance for qualitative research method also. So, the quantitative observation is the objective collection of data which is primarily focused on numbers as well as values. So, this I have already told you. So, what do you mean by quantitative method? Here, the information or data is collected through what? Through statistical or mathematical tools which can be measured in terms of numbers or any other values. It implies observation of numerical values such as age, shape, weight, volume, scale, etc. So, such type of numerical values will be collected through quantitative methods. Now, coming to qualitative observation, does not involve measurement or numbers, but instead just monitoring the characteristics. Here they are going to meet the respondent personally and collect the information. So here it will not be measured in terms of numbers. In this case, the researcher observes the respondent from a distance. Now here the researcher is going to meet the respondent personally and collect the information. For example, in a supermarket, a researcher can monitor and track the customer selection and purchasing trends. Now here, what they are going to do? They are going to observe the researcher. So, under observation method, instead of going and asking them personally, what they will do? They will observe the respondents and collect the information. Their buying pattern, their behavior, their taste and preference, everything will be observed here. So, this offers a more in-depth insight into the purchasing experience of the customer. So, by observing each and every activity of the customer, they are making a note of it and thereby they are going to take the decisions. So, for example, if a new brand is being released, then what the researcher will do? Researcher will see the respondents, how they are going to react on that particular new brand. So, depending upon that, ultimate conclusions will be drawn. Next method is that case study method. Here, what do you mean by case study? The researcher is going to study a particular topic which is already there in the market or already done by any other researcher. So the case which is already there, he is going to study on that particular case. That is known as what? Case study. So case study involve in-depth research and study of individuals or groups. Case study lead to hypothesis and widen the further scope of studying a phenomenon. Now what do you mean by case study? Case study means what? Studying a previous case. So here also he can draw his own conclusion, he can create his own hypothesis under case study method. Now coming to the next one, survey research. Now what do you mean by survey research under descriptive research method? In survey research, respondent answer through survey or questionnaires or polls. So what the respondents are going to do? Here the researcher is going to contact the respondents, and how they are going to answer? Through surveys or questionnaires or through polls. They are a popular market research tool to collect the feedback about the respondents. A study to gather useful data should have a right survey questions. Now what the researcher will do? Researcher will prepare a questionnaire and it will be distributed to the respondents, and after answering by the respondents, it will be collected by the researcher. It should be a balanced mix of open-ended questions as well as close-ended questions. So normally in this survey research, what they are going to include? They are going to include both open-ended questions as well as close-ended questions. Open-ended questions means what? They can ask the questions. So rather than giving a particular answer to a particular question, so they can answer as per their wish. That is in the form of theory. Okay. Close-ended questions means what? Either yes or no answer, or a limited number of options will be given, out of which the respondents have to answer the question. So they are known as what? Close-ended question. And the scope is more for open-ended questions because the respondents can give their own opinion rather than a fixed answer. The survey method can be conducted online or offline. So you know about the recent trend in the technology. They can go for online or offline, making it to go-to option for descriptive research where the sample size is enormous. So you know, under descriptive research method, we are going to learn about the subject, that is what. So here the whole populations will be selected and we are going to collect the information, and we have three methods to collect the information. One is observation method, next one was case study, and the other one was survey research. Now we shall see few examples, or what are the examples of descriptive research. So here if you see the example here, example of where this research can be used is if a school district wishes to evaluate teachers' attitude about using technology in the classroom. So here they are going to learn about the attitude of the teachers, how they are going to respond to the new technology in the classroom by conducting survey and observing their comfortableness using technology through observational method. So here they are going to use which method? Observation method. The researcher can gauge what they can help understand in a full-fledged implementation can face an issue. So how they are going to react? So what is the reason? So how the teachers will react on the new technology which is being used. So this also helps in understanding if the students are impacted in any way with their change. So even though at the same time how the students will react on these changes, that is change in technology. So in this example, here we are seeing the behavior of, so that is what would be the behavior of teacher as well as students when a new technology is implemented in the classroom. So we are going to discuss about what will be the behavior. So what is the behavior of teacher as well as respondents? So that is nothing but what? Descriptive research. So this is all about descriptive research. So in my next session, I am going to discuss about one more type of research method, that is causal research. My dear students, in today's session, we have learnt about descriptive research method. So in my next session, I am coming with a new topic. Till then, take care. Thank you.